Motivation is garbage. Stick to discipline. What is it we do in the Red Pill? We swap notes. Now, I'm sure people have heard all kinds of different stories about us, but I'm here to give you a glimpse inside the locker room. Here, we're going to discuss the field reports that happened a few years back. Brand new guys who are trying to learn the strategies that we talk about. Who am I? I used to be one of these brand new guys. I, like you, was pretty good at women and relationships, but I wasn't great at it. Hard times hit, things got tough, and it turns out there's nowhere for a man to go nowadays that actually wants him to succeed, to thrive, to get better at what he does and improve his lot in life. So, like most guys, I took it upon myself, found a bunch of guys in the same boat as me, and together we built a set of working strategies based on the experience of hundreds of thousands of men, just like us. Men swapping notes, iron sharpening iron. Welcome to the locker room. I find myself taking my goals seriously, putting in effort, feeling good about that effort, and then as a response, I'm getting lazy and complacent in other parts of my development. Maybe I'm constructing some sort of covert contract that as long as I'm good as a dancing monkey, and I go to the gym and I eat my peanut butter and just try really hard to change and get really angry at myself when I do something wrong, I will change and drown in self-fulfillment and dripping. Yeah. This is obviously nice guy nonsense. Maybe I like sitting where I am, comfortable, on my freshly built, fragile ego, ignoring my problems behind me, closing my eyes, and smelling that glue until my cardboard ego collapses under my sorry ass and I start crying like a baby. Here's a concrete example. In my last post, I was riding the high and feeling really good about myself. However, I was having difficulties with anger due to my beta tendencies. I had recognized that I probably need to meditate, so I asked you for advice. And the advice was, you literally only need your phone's timer. Start with 2 minutes twice a day. And you know what? I didn't do it. Because I felt like I did not know what to do, and I created this tiny little barrier. And because it was uncomfortable to think about having to do that, I avoided it and instead went to the gym and read through all the different subreddits. I just downloaded Headspace and did my first meditation. When that smug British voice told me to let my thoughts run for a few seconds, I got tears in my eyes because I was so angry and frustrated at myself for giving up and scrolling through Reddit earlier. I mean, I want to improve myself, but I'm such a nice guy that I managed to even turn self-improvement into a sad pile of excuses, avoidance, feelings of self-loathing, and covert contracts. So I hope this helps some of you guys. Couple terms to get out of the way before we get started. Nice guy. When we talk about the term nice guy, in this case, it's a surrogate term for a combination of small codependence, which is really like a low-grade, borderline personality issue, as well as validation-seeking behavior. I'm sure you've heard the meme where a guy puts nice guy tokens into a machine and sex comes out the other side. Well, it turns out even if you can get a wife and do all right, you're still going to have the same issues. The core of it, it's a childhood thing, and I don't want to get into it, but if you want to read more on it, Dr. Glover's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, is a great starting point, and it's pretty much as red-pilled as you can get. Motivation and discipline. They're two opposite things of the same coin. One is emotions, and one is action. In this case, motivation is something you feel. And like all things you feel, eventually you're not going to feel it anymore. Discipline, on the other hand, is the ability to do things consistently over time without much emotion attached to it. It's the best way to describe building solid processes in your life that work without you having to make a ton of decisions. Self-improvement. A lot of guys refer to it, and it's because they're new, they don't really know, but in this case, self-improvement is a bit of a container word. It tells you that the certain guy has a certain mental model where he thinks that there is one spectrum of man. On the beginning of it, there is a baby, infant, nothing going on, no qualities whatsoever, and at the other end is the perfect 100% man of all men. And that everything you do is a way to either move forward or backwards on this spectrum. In reality, man is just what we do, but there's no singular path. You could be the front man of a rock band, you could be the CEO of a company, you can be the drug dealer. All these guys are really great in the certain things that they're doing, and they achieve certain benefits and certain trade-offs. So self-improvement, when they use them here, they're really using it as a surrogate for how close they can get to whatever goal they've set beforehand. And usually for a guy in relationships, it's to have his wife genuinely desire him and a healthy sex life. The advice for this guy. He really is living too much in his own feelings. And that's kind of something he needs to understand. I have a saying where I say, you ain't shit. And that's okay. And it really would behoove him to understand and internalize that. He thinks about all these things because he's expecting them to make him have a certain mindset, a certain feeling. That same reason that you play video games, that you'll get a high once you accomplish goals. The problem is the real world doesn't work like that. There's usually a large amount of build-up and work involved at the front end for rewards that are very intermittent and not guaranteed at the back end. So if you're looking at this as a very simple action, reward, feedback mechanism, you're most likely going to lose your motivation very quickly. And that's why discipline's important. Because with discipline, you actually remove the effort and the feeling that comes with the front end of results, or the front end, and ends with results. So instead of him worrying about not being able to do things properly, or crying because he doesn't think he knows how to meditate properly, he's going to fail at becoming the alpha male, he just does this stuff. And if things are getting better, he continues to do them, and he tweaks it as he goes. It's a certain point where you kind of trust your own abilities. An alternative to this, first off, I don't get the whole idea of meditation. I mean, I get it, but where you have to sit down and quietly stare at a wall and be one with your thoughts, I think that's a bit masturbatory. If you're first starting out in your map, I guarantee you holding 200 pounds over your head for any length of time while your central nervous system is breaking down is probably going to give you 100% focus. If you're sitting there reading a book and you can't get through it without having to stop and take a distraction break, meditation is just that reading process. I find the benefits you get from meditation are almost a side effect of when you're working on your map fairly seriously. The other thing this guy needs to adopt is the idea of using it as a disciplinary act, not so much a motivational one. You should wake up in the morning, and if you're going to go to the gym before work, if that's how it works best in your schedule, you should have your gym bag packed the night before. You should have it right by the door, so when you get up, you don't have to think. You grab your morning coffee, you grab your bag, you hit the gym. If you need to work on your game, you should have your Kindle or your hard copy of whatever book or research you're doing on game, whether it's London Day Game Model or M3 or whatever. You should have that, so when you're on your lunch break, you're not busy going out having lunch with Sarah from HR. You're sitting there reading a book because it's what you got in front of you. If you're thinking of taking your phone and just surfing Reddit, well, if the Kindle app is right there, you should be doing these things. The easier you make it to have those beneficial choices to you on autopilot because you prepared for them the night before, the day before, the week before, the more likely it is that improving your lot in life becomes an automatic part of the process. And that frees you up for so many new things. So in the end of the day, if you're gonna follow this one, you're gonna start putting in some effort. Forget about feeling good about the effort. Forget about whether you see yourself as lazy. Stop building yourself an identity that you want to achieve. In this case, that inspirational self-improvement guru. You're never going to get there. And even if you do get there, you're not going to like it. It's not going to feel the way you thought it did. And you're basically going to give up. Or in this case, you're going to start crying. I mean, cry if you need to. I don't see the benefit in it. Just set yourself up some goals. realize that they can change on a whim, and you do what you can to make the process work in as automated a fashion as possible by doing whatever preparation you need beforehand. If it's about losing weight, your meals are all prepped a week in advance. If it's about reading books, they're sitting with you at all times, so whenever you're bored, instead of looking at your phone, you pick one of them up. If it's about a workout, your gym gear is packed the night before. If it's about gaming your wife or going out and hitting on other girls or just being charming and making conversation, you schedule your day so these things present themselves as a natural option. With that, you're going to find far better success, especially over the long term. On that note, thanks guys for sticking around. Catch you on the next one. Later.